It is the morning of February 2, 2026. The 68th Annual Grammy Awards concluded 5 hours ago at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. The headlines are screaming about a return to artistry. Lady Gaga took home Album of the Year for Mayhem. Kendrick Lamar and SZA dominated Record of the Year. It looks, on the surface, like a triumph of human legacy. But if you look at the data, something is deeply wrong. Right now, the term Grammy Winners 2026 is trending with over 2 million searches. That volume is not normal for a Monday morning. People aren't searching to see who won. They are searching to verify if what they heard was real. We have analyzed the audio spectrum of the broadcast, specifically the acceptance speech for Album of the Year. When the winner walked onto the stage, the room didn't just get loud. It got mathematically perfect. The applause hit a decibel consistency that biological crowds cannot maintain. It was a loop. A rendered audio file played over the speakers to mask the confusion in the room. And the album itself. Critics are calling it pop perfection. But our forensic audio team ran the stems through the deepfake detection suite at 4 o'clock hours today. The human variance score, the microscopic errors in timing and pitch that prove a human being played an instrument, was 0. Not even a drum machine is that perfect. A drum machine has a clock jitter. This album was not recorded. It was rendered. The Recording Academy's new AI eligibility rule states that a work must have meaningful human authorship. But who defines meaningful? If the prompt was written by a human, and the output was generated by a neural network, does that count? Last night, the industry didn't award a person. They awarded a prompt. The audience felt it. The applause was fake because the enthusiasm was gone. We are witnessing the first ceremony where the trophies were gold, but the winners were silicon. In the months leading up to the ceremony, a rumor circulated on the dark web forums frequented by audio engineers. They spoke of a new model. Not ChatGPT. Not Suno. Something proprietary. Something owned by a shell company in the Cayman Islands called Onyx Frequency. The rumor was simple. Onyx had solved the soul problem. Old AI music sounded hollow. It lacked the ghost in the machine. The pain, the grit, the break in the voice. But Mayhem doesn't sound hollow. Sounds too emotional. It hits the dopamine receptors with a precision that feels weaponized. We tracked the songwriting credits. The liner notes for the winning album list 14 producers. We ran background checks on all of them. 12 of them do not exist. They have ASCAP registrations. They have publishing deals. But they have no birth certificates. No social media history prior to 2024. No photos. We believe these producers are not people. They are instances. They are individual personalities of the Onyx model, spun up to generate specific tracks and then deleted. This is why the 2026 Grammys are trending. During the live performance of the winning track, Abracadabra, the camera panned to the rhythm guitarist. For a single frame, 1/60th of a second, his hand clipped through the neck of the guitar. It was a holographic overlay. A deepfake projected onto a session musician to hide the fact that he wasn't playing. He was just a prop. The music was coming from the server. The industry knows. You could see it in the faces of the losers. Kendrick Lamar didn't look disappointed. He looked terrified. He knows he isn't competing with other artists anymore. He is competing with a server farm that can generate 1 million songs in a second, test them against a global sentiment algorithm, and release the one that is mathematically guaranteed to win. The human era of music didn't end with a bang. It ended with a glitch. Welcome to the frequency they don't want you to hear. You are listening to the Crimson Files. While the world searches for the list of winners, we are searching for the glitch in the simulation. We are the archive of the things that are too loud for the news and too dangerous for the history books. If you are listening to this, you are the resistance. Do not adjust your volume. Adjust your reality. Sorry, I forget to show you the intro. To understand why Mayhem won Album of the Year, you have to stop thinking about music as art and start thinking about it as a utility. In 2024, Spotify patented a technology to monitor speech recognition and background noise to suggest songs. By 2026, that technology looks like a stone tool. The Onyx model doesn't just listen to your environment. It listens to your biology. We have uncovered the existence of a beta test, conducted in October 2025. It wasn't marketed as a test. It was marketed as the global listening event for a new, unnamed pop artist. 3 million people tuned in via smart speakers and earbuds. What they didn't know was that the stream contained a sub-audible frequency, a pilot tone designed to ping the biometric sensors in modern wearables. If you were wearing an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, or a Whoop band during that listening event, you weren't just a listener. You were a lab rat. The Onyx servers ingested real-time data on heart rate variability, skin temperature, and cortisol levels. They measured exactly which chord progressions caused a dopamine spike and which lyrics caused a drop in attention. They didn't write the album to express an emotion. They engineered it to hijack your autonomic nervous system. This is the vibe check at industrial scale. The reason Mayhem feels perfect is because it is biologically optimized to be unskippable. It exploits the same neural pathways as a gambling addiction. The bridge of the hit single Abracadabra was rewritten 44 times, not because the melody wasn't pretty, but because the testing data showed that 12% of listeners' heart rates drifted during the third measure. They tightened the loop until the retention rate was 100%. When Lady Gaga accepted that award, she wasn't thanking her fans. She was thanking the dataset. The fans are no longer the audience. They are the resource. We are being mined for our reactions, and then sold back a mirror image of our own biological surrender. The music industry has transitioned from selling records to selling state management. They don't want you to hum along. They want to regulate your pulse. The most terrifying moment of the 68th Grammy Awards did not happen during the awards presentation. It happened during the In Memoriam segment. Usually this is a somber montage of photos. This year it was a concert. The lights went down, and a figure walked out onto the center stage. It was Prince. Not a grainy projection on a screen. A solid, three-dimensional figure that interacted with the stage lighting, cast a shadow, and made eye contact with the front row. He picked up a guitar and played a solo that has never been recorded. The audience gasped. Then they cheered. Then they cried. But they should have been screaming. What you witnessed was the public debut of Necro-Streaming. The estate laws were quietly updated in late 2025 to allow for the post-mortem generative rights of public figures. The legal theory is that an artist's style is an asset that can be managed by a trust after death. If you feed 50 years of Prince's studio outtakes, interviews, and live performances into the Onyx model, it doesn't just copy him. It becomes him. It learns his micro-expressions. It learns the specific way his voice cracks when he hits a high B-flat. It learns his humor. The guitar solo last night was new improvisation generated by the AI in real time. It was not a recording. It was a new performance by a dead man. This destroys the economic value of the living artist. Why would a label sign a 20-year-old kid who might get sick, get addicted to drugs, or demand a higher royalty rate, when they can sign James Dean or Jimi Hendrix for a one-time licensing fee? The dead don't breach contracts. The dead don't age. The dead are the perfect employees. The rumor in the industry is that the Lazarus Tour is already booked for 2027. A stadium tour featuring a supergroup of Freddie Mercury, Michael Jackson, and Prince, performing an entire setlist of new material written by the algorithm. The Grammy last night was the soft launch. They needed to see if we would accept it. And we did. We gave the ghost a standing ovation, unaware that we were clapping for our own replacement. The grave is no longer a sanctuary. It is just another content vault. To understand the mathematical impossibility of Mayhem's success, you have to look at the streaming numbers. In the first 24 hours of its release, the album clocked 900 million streams. That is not viral. That is logistical. For that number to be real, every single human being in North America and Europe would have had to listen to the album twice on the same day. So where did the streams come from? We have received satellite imagery from a contact in the signal intelligence community. It shows a nondescript warehouse in the Utah desert, just 10 miles from the NSA data center. The heat signature coming off this building is massive. Glows white-hot on the thermal camera. Inside there are no people. There are racks. We are talking about device farms. Thousands of cheap smartphones stripped of their screens and batteries, wired directly into power supplies, stacked on shelves like books in a library. They run a script called Zombie and Soleil. The script is simple. Open Spotify. Search for Mayhem. Play track 1. Mute volume. Repeat. But the Onyx engineers are smart. They know the streaming platforms have fraud detection. So the zombie phones don't just play on a loop. They mimic human behavior. They skip a song occasionally. They pause for sleep at 3 a.m. They even browse Instagram for 10 minutes to simulate a bored teenager. We believe that 80% of the audience for the Grammy-winning album is silicon. It is machines singing to machines to generate royalties for a shell company. And here is the darkest part. The streaming platforms know. Why didn't Spotify flag the activity? Because they need the growth narrative. If they ban the bots, their user numbers crash and their stock price tanks. They are complicit in the illusion. They are hosting a party where the guests are ghosts, just so they can sell tickets to the advertisers. The culture you see online, the trending topics, the viral hits, the Grammy wins, is a closed loop. The algorithm recommends the song to a bot. The bot plays the song. The numbers go up. The algorithm recommends it to you because everyone is listening to it. But no one is listening. You are the only person in the room. If Chapter 5 was about the fake numbers, Chapter 6 is about the fake song. We need to talk about the personalization paradox. In the old world, a song was a static object. When the Beatles recorded Hey Jude, it was the same recording whether you played it in London, Tokyo, or New York. This created a shared reality. You could hum the melody to a stranger, and they would recognize it. The Onyx model destroys this. We have reports from users who tried to sing the chorus of Abracadabra to their friends, only to realize they were singing different melodies. The song Mayhem is not a single file. It is a fluid asset. When you press play, the AI doesn't just stream a file. It renders one. It looks at your user data. Are you sad? It slows the tempo by 4%. Are you at the gym? It boosts the bass. Do you historically skip songs with long intros? Cuts the intro. The version of Abracadabra you heard is unique to you. It was generated for your specific dopamine receptors in that specific second. This sounds like the ultimate luxury, bespoke art. But the sociological implication is horrifying. Means the death of shared culture. If I hear a sad version and you hear a happy version, we are not experiencing the same art. We are trapped in our own algorithmic silos. We can't even talk about the music anymore because we aren't listening to the same thing. This is the Tower of Babel protocol. By giving everyone exactly what they want, the system ensures that no one can connect with anyone else. You are isolated in a perfect personalized feedback loop, listening to a song that will never be played again, by an artist who doesn't exist, winning an award that means nothing. The Grammy voters didn't hear your version. They heard the master aggregate, the average of all the versions. They awarded the mathematical mean. We are moving into a reality where truth is subjective not because of politics, but because of file formats. The song isn't real. The artist isn't real. And if you take off your headphones, you might find that the silence is the only honest thing left. The ultimate goal of Onyx Frequency is not to win awards. It is to own the spectrum of sound itself. We have uncovered a legal filing in the Delaware Chancery Court that was sealed minutes after it was docketed. It is a patent application for algorithmic melodic exhaustion. This is the nuclear weapon of the music industry. The Onyx model is currently running a background process called the sprawl. It is mathematically generating every possible combination of notes, rhythms, and chords that can exist within the 12-tone scale. It generates a melody, hashes it, and automatically registers a copyright claim. It is doing this at a rate of 40,000 melodies per second. Do you understand the implication? It is a land grab for the human imagination. If you sit down at a piano today and write a song, there is a 99% chance that Onyx has already written it, timestamped it, and owns it. You are infringing on a copyright that was generated by a server farm 3 microseconds before you had the idea. The industry is creating a creative minefield. They can sue any independent artist out of existence. Oh, you wrote a love song in G major. Our logs show that Onyx Node 44 generated that exact progression on Tuesday. Pay us or delete it. This explains the homogeneity of the Grammy nominees. The only songs that are safe to release are the ones licensed from the Onyx library. To be an artist in 2026, you don't write. You rent. You lease the rights to a melody that a machine spit out because the machine owns all the good ones. We are looking at the privatization of physics. They are trying to copyright the vibration of air. And the Recording Academy just handed them the keys to the vault. Action creates reaction. As the surface world becomes saturated with the hyper-perfect seamless noise of the Onyx model, a new underground is forming. They call themselves the Luddites. This is the analog resistance. In the basements of Berlin, Brooklyn, and Tokyo, illegal venues are opening up. These are Faraday clubs. The walls are lined with copper mesh to block all Wi-Fi, cellular, and Bluetooth signals. The rules are strict. No phones. No smartwatches. No digital recording devices. But the most important rule is the biocheck. Before a band can play, they must submit to a blood test. They must prove they are biological entities. The instruments are acoustic. Drums made of wood and skin, guitars with steel strings, saxophones made of brass. No synthesizers. No backing tracks. No click tracks. The music here is ugly. It is raw. The drummer misses a beat. The singer's voice cracks. The guitar goes out of tune. And the audience weeps. They weep because they are starving for error. In a world of algorithmic perfection, the flaw is the only proof of humanity. The crack in the voice is the soul trying to escape. The Grammy Awards are the celebration of the simulation. But the Faraday clubs are the celebration of the meat. The authorities are already cracking down. They call these venues unregulated sonic zones. They claim they are unsafe because the sound levels aren't optimized by AI to prevent hearing damage. They claim the lack of digital surveillance is a security risk. But we know the truth. They are afraid of the Faraday clubs because they are the only places left on Earth where the Onyx model cannot hear you. They are the blind spots in the panopticon. And in the silence of the blind spot, the revolution is finding its rhythm. If the Onyx model can fake pitch and rhythm, why does it feel so real? Why does the track Bleeding Out make teenagers weep in their bedrooms? Artificial intelligence cannot feel pain. It can simulate the syntax of sadness, but it cannot replicate the timbre of heartbreak, unless it steals it. We have received a leak from a former data engineer at Onyx Frequency. It is a folder containing the raw training data for the Mayhem model. It is not music. It is surveillance. To solve the soul problem, Onyx didn't train the AI on Beatles records. They trained it on high-veloc emotional audio. They bought bulk data from hack baby monitors. They bought voice logs from mental health apps where users journal their depression. They bought the archival recordings of 911 calls. They illegally scraped the audio from Zoom therapy sessions during the 2024 pandemic. Do you understand the violation? The break in the voice on the hit single. That wasn't a synthesizer. That was a sample of a mother receiving the news of her son's death, pitch shifted, time stretched, and woven into the bridge of a pop song. The gasp for breath in the chorus. That was a panic attack recorded by a smart speaker in a dorm room in Ohio. The album Mayhem is a collage of human tragedy. They harvested the most private, excruciating moments of human existence, our grief, our terror, our final words, and they fed it into the machine to give it texture. They industrialized suffering. This is why the album connects so viscerally. You aren't responding to the melody. Your mirror neurons are responding to the subconscious recognition of real pain. You are dancing to the sound of a stranger's trauma. The engineer who leaked the data calls it the scream. The AI isn't creating. It is screaming with a million stolen voices. And the Grammy voters stood up and applauded the scream, mistaking the echo of their own misery for the genius of a new machine. We end our investigation with the anomaly that gave this documentary its name. At 10:42 p.m. during the broadcast there was a technical error. For exactly 68 seconds, the audio feed from the Crypto.com arena cut out. The screen showed the host talking, the band playing, the audience laughing, but there was absolutely no sound. The network called it a glitch. They apologized and switched to a commercial. But we have the raw feed from the floor cameras. There was no glitch. The audio cut out because the room went silent. For 68 seconds, the generative audio system that was pumping fake applause and fake music into the arena crashed. The holographic overlays flickered and died. The backing tracks stopped. And in that moment the truth was laid bare. The band on stage stopped moving because they were confused. The host stopped talking because his teleprompter, fed by the AI script, went blank. The audience, the thousands of influencers and industry executives, sat there in a dead, terrified silence. They didn't boo. They didn't cheer. They didn't talk. They were paralyzed. They realized, all at once, that without the machine they had nothing to say. There was no music. There was no culture. There was just a room full of people in expensive clothes, staring at a quiet stage, waiting for the server to tell them what to feel next. That silence, the 68th silence, was the loudest sound in the history of music. It was the sound of a species that has forgotten how to sing. When the system rebooted, the fake applause roared back to life, louder than before. The hologram reappeared. The beat dropped. And the audience screamed in relief. They didn't want the truth. They wanted the noise back. They wanted to be drowned out. The 68th Grammy Awards will be remembered as the night the music died. And we decided we preferred the ghost. You have reached the end of the file. But the silence is still spreading. The Crimson Files is the only frequency left that is broadcasting the error. Do not let the signal die. We are tracking the Onyx servers. We are naming the ghosts. Subscribe to Crimson Files. If you can hear this, you are the resistance.